Okay, enough of that sloppy noodling there. This is the tone charger preamp. It's based kind of on the preamp used in old Echoplex tape delays, and based on it's also borrowing a bit from the EP booster, which is also based on those old tape delays. Essentially, it's just a discrete preamp pedal. Some would refer to it as a boost, but it it does increase the output volume. I refer to it more as a preamp kind of thing, because I use it mainly for shaping your general tone, as opposed to trying to get huge amounts of output volume. Like if you're wanting that, look elsewhere. I have another boost that does more for the output, called the strong arm. This is more for just general tone shaping. So what it is there's a component in it, a transistor called JFET, and it works in this circuit similar to how a tube would react. Like, it's not exactly the same, but as soon as you hit it with a guitar signal, it starts overloading in a way that provides a bit of pleasant overdrive, like not in the way that that's overtly sounding like a crunchy guitar signal, but in a way that your brain hears and says, "Oh, it's a nice, smooth, warm tone," that kind of thing. So this kind of seeks to emulate that kind of thing going on with tubes, but with a transistor component. I'm probably explaining that more in depth than I need to. I may even be getting the actual terminology wrong, but anyways, so the whole point of this pedal is to basically, I designed it to warm up single coils, although it does work well with humbuckers. So, I'll turn it off. Here's the bass tone, just my strat. Going into my blues junior. And here it is with the tone charger turned on. So I don't know if you'll be able to hear the difference in output volume on this recording, but hopefully you'll hear that it kind of fills in the low end a bit and just becomes a bit more present and warmer. So, yeah, the main goal when I was designing it was to make something that would, warm up the sounds of my strat or tele, while also, working as a buffer to provide good output impedance. And so I settled for a design that's similar to the EP booster, but then tweaked it to be more like the older Echoplex preamp. So inside of this, there's a it's called a charge pump. Basically, it takes your 9-volt power supply and ups it to not quite, but just about 18 volts. And so there's more headroom available, which means when you crank this, it doesn't go into full-on distortion or anything. It has just more voltage to work with, so that it gets more dynamic. That plus the EP booster has a couple of dip switches on the inside for general tone shaping, like tweaking how bright it is or how fat it is. I decided instead of the dip switches, I would just make 2 controls. So the left control is basically how bright it is, all the way to the left. It's kind of like a Proco Rat style tone control. So all the way to the left is no tone cut whatsoever. Then as you turn it to the right, so yeah, that's very obvious. You can hear it. I tend to keep it more around the middle or so. When you're going into brighter amps, you may want to dial it back some. If you're into dark amps, you might want to leave it all the way counterclockwise, so that you're getting all the possible treble you can. But it's a useful tool for just shaping your high end, because like I said, this thing is meant to warm up your signal, and controlling your high end is a very easy way to do that. This control, the fatness, on lower, well actually even medium settings, it won't become too apparent. So, like, you probably didn't hear anything at all there. This doesn't really come into play too much until you start cranking the boost control. So here's the boost control all the way down. So there's a little bit of tone change even when the boost is all the way down. And then I had it all the way up in the middle beforehand, but when you start cranking it up, that's when you start hearing the fatness control come into play. It's still a bit subtle there, even at 3 o'clock. You'll get the most use out of this when you have the thing cranked all the way up. So it kind of gives a tone that's like, when it's cranked all the way up, like right on the edge of breakup, but never goes quite, like, unless you're hitting it really hard. unless you're hitting it really, really hard, and maybe with humbuckers or something, it'll start overloading into a bit of light overdrive. Like, it sounds a little driven, but not to the point where, like, you could still easily play clean with it. Or some degree of clean with it. But it gives you, you know, like, there's a slight output increase, not enough for, like, if you're really wanting to drive an amp hard, but enough that, you know, you can sort of make up the difference between hotter and weaker pickups if you're changing guitars, something like that. Say you want your Strat to compete with your Les Paul, that kind of thing. And it adds a little bit of girth to it, which, when you have it cranked all the way up, you can shape with the fatness control. And the high end, yeah. And it just increases your sustain. It's very, very dynamic. Like, it doesn't immediately go into, you know, square wave clipping or hard clipping or whatever. And there's no diodes or anything clipping in there. It's just, you know, another person who does this kind of preamp design. I believe his name is Donald Till. He has a similar design called the Till preamp. Anyways, these kind of circuits with the JFET transistors are designed to overload gracefully. So, like, you know, the line between absolutely clean and absolute and getting dirty, it's blurred. So you can easily this easily works for both. Yeah, there's not too much else to say about it. It's just a nice tool for, you know, warming up your tone. How many times have I said that so far? Maybe just so you can hear what it does with higher output guitar. I'll grab... Oh, which will I grab? Grab my SG. I'm not sure if this is in tune or not, so forgive me. Close enough for what I'm... So that's just my SG's normal clean tone into the Blues Junior. yeah, so as you can hear there, that's starting to definitely overdrive, but again, it's cranked all the way up, and it's a higher output pickup, humbuckers. The ones I have in here are, you know, just your standard 60s type, not PAF, based on after that. The actual set I have in here is a set of Craig Bynum womanizer pickups based on Eric Clapton's guitar he used for Sunshine of Your Love and other stuff in Cream, thus the woman tone name of the pickups. Shout out to Bynum Pickups. Check them out for a Canadian pickup maker. But yeah, anywho. Obviously, there's more of a driven tone with these, and they're not too high output, but they are higher output than the single coils I designed this for. But it still gives a nice tone with humbuckers. And you can still dial in the high end nicely. So yeah, it can slightly brighten up your guitar too if it's a bit dark, but yeah, main purpose of this is to warm it up, thus it's a high cut rather than a active cut boost control. Let's see, all the way down with the boost. So when it's on, or when it's off, it's like that. When it's on, you can hear a little bit of a high-end sheen. Hopefully that comes through on the video. And then when you crank it up, with all the low end from the fatness control. Yeah, last thing I'll show is just, you know, if you want it as an always on type pedal. Because it's the transistor in there is acting in a way similar to a tube, you can push it nicely for nice results. So I'm just turning on my arc type OD or overdrive. Yeah, the last thing I'll say about this is it stacks really nicely with overdrives and everything, because you know, I made sure that the input and output impedances of this thing, it'll play nicely with whatever you throw at it. And yeah, just you put like an op-amp based overdrive such as a Tube Screamer variant, i.e. my arc type overdrive, and it just works really nice with the JFET based circuit in this, and the extra headroom from the upped voltage in this doesn't hurt either. So you get the you can do the So there you have it. That's pretty much all I have to say about the tone charger. It's I would use it as like an always-on type pedal, as opposed to strictly a boost. But if you want to use it for a slight level boost, go ahead. Just that's not the way I intended it. It's more for just always on to improve your tone and everything, and works well with other pedals, mainly for single coil guitars. But if you're using it with humbuckers, you'll get great results too. And that's about all I have to say. Like I said, I'm kind of phasing it out in favor of my strong arm boost, but I do like the sound of this. So if you like the sound of it, let me know, and I can make more. I still have a few boards left, and if you want to hear more about this or any other products I offer, just contact me at tomfreemanaudioeffects@gmail.com to keep up to date on everything else I do. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check Tom Freeman Audio Effects. Check out the Tom Freeman Audio Effects Facebook and Instagram pages, and visit tfaudioeffects.com, my website, and any of those should give you all the updates on to what I'm working on next. Anywho,